It's some sort of global aurora borealis. Never seen anything like this before. Eyewitnesses describe electrical storms and erratic displays of unusual weather. Residents are being asked to remain inside and wait for geological surveys are now reporting seismic activity throughout the Ring of Fire. Northeastern Canada is said to be experiencing the largest on record. Satellites and transformers are failing as the flare increases in intensity. Worldwide reports of blackouts seems to be receding. Residual seismic and volcanic activity is being reported, but nothing approaching earlier levels. Obviously, it'll be a while before experts are able to assess the full extent of the damage caused by today's event. But it appears the worst is behind us. We'll be sure to bring you more as this story develops.
It is done. The world is saved. You played your part well, Desmond. But now it's time that I played mine.
Dun dun dun. Okay, can I talk now? Right. I do find that I kind of like the idea of having like stuff in the credits, but it always bothers me because it's like I want to talk about the game. So it seems that we're not going to be playing Desmond in the next game. So that's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Juno next. I mean, apart from like the first game, kind of introduces us to Desmond, and kind of in the second game, in the second game, we were following. We were being trained, so we were following Ezio, and then we found out about. Come on, Brain. Then we found out about the solar flare, and then I think like the next few games is us trying to work towards that and find stuff, and then dealing with what happened with Lucy. And then we get to this game, and it's like, oh, we're gonna actually stop this thing. So I assume the next few games are gonna be us dealing with Juno. That's gonna be the main plot going into that. I would hope. Danny Wallace, I assume, doing his own material. I would guess. So that's going to be an interesting thing to look at. So, actually, let's talk about the game. And I've complained enough about the story in a lot of different ways. I think, ultimately, my problem has been almost all the way through its death to the British. Or to British sympathisers. Did we deal with Nicholas Biddle? Well, I can't even remember. That's annoying. Who was the only kind of American who kind of, I think, stayed loyal to the colonies. He was the only only colonist who stayed true to the colonialists out of the list. I can't remember. Did we? I can't actually remember. I know that Church kind of switched sides and he started sending information to the Brits. That's something he actually did. So there did seem to be that kind of anti-British stuff. Even when, ooh, maybe the Templars aren't that bad. You're interacting with Haytham, still killing the Brits, which I did find a little bothersome. There was a point in this session where I suddenly went, hang on, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. Shows you how bothersome I found it. Oh, it's gone. It doesn't matter. I think... So Connor, I think I mentioned it in the last session. I think he and Haytham are now my two favourite protagonists, inverted commas protagonists, or player characters that we've had in the Assassin's Creed series. I think he's very poorly served by the way he's introduced. And I understand why they've done that, is they want to kind of introduce you to like the hunting, they want to introduce you to a few things. It feels very much, I think I have mentioned this, it feels very much like they had two ideas for games. So one was with Haytham, and you're playing a Templar, and the other one is with Connor, and this very much kind of hunting kind of thing. And then, as they were doing that, they couldn't pad them out long enough. They were missing a lot of material with Haytham, and they were missing a little bit of material with Connor, and so they stitched the two together. Because you start off with the tutorial with Haytham, and then you get another tutorial again with Connor, and I think for me that made Connor's section seem a lot more boring in comparison. And I think it would be very interesting. You could, I mean, theoretically, so I don't know if you could pad it out story-wise, have almost another trilogy. So you had the Ezio trilogy, have the kind of the Kenway trilogy. So you have, you start with, you play one game with Haytham, and then maybe at the end, so it's kind of, he's kind of the darker kind of assassin, and then it's revealed at the very end, actually no, he's a Templar. Ah! And then in the second game, you play as Connor, and you have his story, and that ends. Maybe have him find out about Haytham, so maybe not sure. Maybe have him find out about Haytham and get to know Haytham a little bit earlier, and that's the second one. And then the third one, you have kind of their interactions. It was one of the. It's kind of one of those. Like, all through the game, I've kind of been complaining, oh, there's too much this, too much kind of anti-British stuff, there's too much this, there's too much that, there's too much kind of pro-America stuff, and not just in and I'm not just saying that as a kind of, I'm British, therefore I'm going to complain about it being too American, but from the perspective of Connor's primary motivation was his people, his tribe, his tribe in particular, Native American, but kind of Native Americans in general, and to an extent also the people on his homestead. These were his people, and he was going to fight for them, even if it meant fighting against redcoats, British regulars. He would stand against them for his people. That happened several times with Johnson and the blacksmith, Big Dave, kind of doing things. Kind of. Oh, he's a deserter. Got to stop him. Got to arrest him. We're going to send a ridiculous number of regulars to get one deserter. And so that made sense. And then the colonialists are going to eradicate his village. And his reaction is, I must go and stop my people defending themselves. Part of me, thinking about it, I think part of me would have liked it if Haytham had been the last guy we killed. That was my controller switching off. Oops. Because I've not been using it because the credits are that long. But I think having Haytham be the penultimate character, I think I would have liked to have seen a bit more angst. That's probably the right word. I think you get to Haytham and have Connor try and convince him, and have Haytham kind of try and convince Connor, and both fail, and so you both fail, and you get to this final fight where it's like, please, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do it. It's like, I don't want to do this either, but I need to do my mission. I need to do this mission. Adrian Huff, I'll have to look into him. And have those kind of interactions. And I think it's frustrating because the stuff I found annoying, there seemed to be quite a bit of, hey, America, hey, boo, Britain, one of the best professional military forces of the time period. Ah, they're rubbish. They can be taken down by one guy. Things like that bothered me, and there was so much of it. And the stuff I really liked was Hatham. Was Hatham, the homestead. I think just seeing Connor, sometimes just seeing Connor interact, I think was great. I mean, part of me's like, I would have loved to have seen him have a love interest. Not because, well, I do like romances in games often, but because that would have allowed you to see like a bit more of Connor's character. And it's like, I want to see more about his character. I want to see more of Hatham. I want to see these guys interact. It's like, there's the stuff that I really, the stuff that kind of bothered me. Probably because it bothered me. There was just like so much of it. But the stuff I really liked. Oh, like, come on! I want more of this. I hope we see Hatham again. I wonder if I'd like to see Hatham again, certainly. And actually, I want to see Connor again. Like, I never had this, and I didn't have this with 2 Brotherhood or Revelations. I don't think I ever came out of any of those games going, I really want to see Ezio again. I really want to see Ezio again. We spent, I think, partially. I'm not sure if that's because these are shorter games than 2 Brotherhood or Revelations. I'm a massive nerd, and I have an Excel spreadsheet. I'm a massive nerd. I have an Excel spreadsheet of my Let's Plays telling me how long all the combined videos are. I'm a colossal nerd, and so I'll be able to see how long this is once everything's uploaded and stuff, and done and stuff. But I'm just looking at these credits now. I'm getting distracted, but I don't know if that's a time thing, or just because we spent very little time with Hatham and very little time with both of them because they kind of shared the game. I think it was it like 4 or 5 hours we spent with Hatham, which is less than we spent with Altair, who I think probably has the least personality of the lot of them. Like, I mean, I think I commented that Connor had very little personality and was very kind of, and he was very kind of stoic and which actually kind of grew on me as the game went on. But he had like Altair didn't really have much of a personality. He didn't have much of a character. So of course I didn't come out of his game going, oh, I want to see more of Altair. And I think that's kind of my frustration, is I really liked these characters, and I'm assuming with Desmond dead, I'm assuming we're not going to be playing it. It'll be an interesting. It'd probably end up being a coincidence, or one of those coincidences. Oh, we found this other assassin who happens to also be related to the Kenways. That's the only way I can think we're going to see them again. I enjoyed the naval stuff. That was quite interesting, although I didn't do a huge amount of it because I'm not entirely sure what the point was. I enjoyed doing them, but apart from that, I'm not sure what the point was. But then again, isn't that that's often the case with with a lot of side things? Is you don't need to do them. They're just, here's another thing that might be really interesting for you. So yes, all these kind of different things. I enjoyed that. The hunting and the kind of tycoon-esque elements of the homestead, I wasn't so keen on. I think I would have preferred it if it'd been similar to the way Rome was done and Monteregioni were done in Brotherhood and 2 respectively, which is you build it up. And I do really like the way you build things up. You build things up in this game, which is kind of, you actually do missions for people and all these different things. I really like that, but I think I would have preferred it if it gave you a steady income and then you picked it up. Because you got items that you could sell, which kind of makes sense, and you could add items that you could then make. But I think even towards the end, there were things that I couldn't make, and I'm like, well, I just want to make this thing. It might be the case that actually I didn't actually do everything. Maybe there's something in the... No, I went into every section. I went into every remaining section, so I must have unlocked everyone. So maybe I just didn't have everything I needed to make everything I wanted. Oh well. Because I was thinking about getting the dual pistol holster thing. These are long credits. I'm trying to think of things to say. I think this game had lots of good ideas. Connor's a very different character to Ezio. Haytham's also different to Ezio, but in a different way. But in his own way, and he's different to Connor. They have a bit of a personality clash, which was lovely to see. I would have liked to have seen more of it. Connor, I would have liked to have seen more of his character. I would have loved to have seen more of Haytham's character. I think if they'd stuck with the kind of thing they had in Assassin's Creed, where it was you have issues with people on both sides, and so you're killing roughly even numbers. I mean, the only way, if you actually look at it, I mean, there were 6 people on the list of Templars, one of whom was a colonialist. The rest ended up being loyalists. The DLC is going after Benedict Arnold, who kind of betrayed the colonies and turned to the loyalists. Before that, you didn't work with you didn't fight with anyone who was really opposed to Britain. The reason I'm not talking about colonialists at that point is because that's pre kind of War of Independence stuff. I think there were a few people with American accents we went after, but then again, that's the same with Connor. But you had like Church, who was, I think, the Surgeon General of the United States, but he then turned to join to the Loyalists, sold information and whatnot. And I think I would have liked to have seen that kind of Assassin's Creed from the first game, where you're kind of attacking both sides as the assassins. I would have loved to have seen more of Connor, more of Haytham. I know I've said that. I would have loved to have seen more of the homestead. And I think then instead you can then have you can then have it be that you can then have the stuff with the tribe play out that way by having it be that they turn on Connor. So he goes to talk to them, and Charles Lee is there. He's there actually talking to them, and he's whispering things, and he's telling people things about you that are either not true or are twisted things of what actually happened. And so, like, you're siding with Washington. You're working with Washington. You're here to eradicate us because you're working with Washington, and all these kinds of things that you can kind of play with a little bit as writers. And so then you're then pulling back. You then want to build up. You then have your own people, and then have Charles Lee suggest that they attack your homestead. And it all be on Charles Lee, and then, because, yeah. And then, so then that explains why you do what you do. And you manage to convince someone that actually you're not siding with Washington. Because in the way it worked in this game is you fight your people, in inverted commas, so that Washington can send a force to eradicate your people. It's just nonsense. But as I said, there's so many things in this game that I'd love to see more of. We're getting to the end of the credits, which is good because I'm running out of things to say. I think I've repeated myself several times. There are so many things I would have loved to see. The interactions between Connor and Haytham were lovely. I would have loved it if Haytham had come to the homestead, kind of looked around and seen the homestead you've made, and then maybe had a bit of a had a few barbs going on between himself and Achilles. I think like there's so many things I would have. This game is so frustrating. In some ways, this game has been so frustrating. Not because it's been a bad game. I don't get frustrated with bad games that much. I can point to the Travels of Marco Polo. I'm talking. Oh, he's packing things away now, is he? Comes the hatchet. And there we go. Oh, I can't rotate the camera. Right, trying to do a dramatic camera sweep. My controller was off. So there we go. Connor himself telling us that we're done. We're going to have a look, see if we got any achievements and stuff. But as I was saying, I can't remember what I was saying before I was interrupted. I don't get frustrated with bad games. I mean, I can point to thingy, the Travels of Marco Polo, which is a bad game. It's not a good game by any stretch of the imagination. But it didn't get me as worked up as Assassin's Creed, as this game, or to an extent, or Baldur's Gate either. And the reason for that, the reason why I find some of these games so frustrating, is because I can see that there's a good game here. I can see that there's a good game and that there's a good story in here somewhere. It's just so well hidden by, in my view, some terrible decisions. I mean, the controls of this are a bit wonky, but then again, it's an Assassin's Creed game, so of course they're a bit wonky. The way Connor was introduced was a bit with his tutorial section. I would have loved to have seen more interaction between Connor and Haytham. I think more Haytham in general. Always good. Benjamin Franklin painting. You've earned it for completing sequence 12. So I'm just... There's so many things that could have happened, could have been done. Oops. Oh, this is the... I don't even know how to change that. That's the Encyclopedia of Common Men. But as I said, there's so many things we could have done that could have happened better. First expedition, tea party. This is the conversations one, isn't it? You have one that keeps engaging in all ambient conversations. But yeah, there are so many things we could have done, I think, that could have been done better. Which frustrate me. With Chesapeake Bay. Yeah, Battle of Chesapeake. This is about church, isn't it? Mission kill church. Yeah, I think I just find it so frustrating because there are so many little things that I found a little irksome. And they're personal things in many ways. I won't dispute that. But oh well. Here we are. We've finished Assassin's Creed 3. And for all my rantings and ravings I've had, and the few little problemy things with this game, I'm gonna miss Connor and I'm gonna miss Hatham. I say that. Church's compound. Cagnetio's memento. Is that it? Just these two things here. Where are the other mementos actually? Let's go and search for them. But this, I'm sure you're not surprised to hear, this is not the last time that we're going to see Connor. Because, of course, I'm going to be doing the DLC. I'm just doing a wrap-up for this, because although I think it's going to be similar, I follow... I'm more interested in the story, so that's kind of what I talk about a lot, rather than other bits and pieces. Benjamin Church's Memento. Hickey's Memento, Pitcairn's Memento, Charles Lee's Mementos, and Hatham's, Johnson's Memento. So he kept his thing. He had a hidden blade. Did old Hatham. So this is not goodbye to Connor, at least. Not yet, but it will be... Well, yes. But it will be a farewell to Assassin's Creed 3 proper. I'm not entirely sure how the DLC fits together. The Treachery of King Washington. I'm not entirely sure how that fits together in this game. With this game. I don't know when it is. But from what they're saying is it's a bit later. I'm not entirely sure how much later. That is a separate thing. We shall have to see, will we not? But that'll be next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for watching.